I've been putting off hitting the record button on this video for a while today. And I have like an hour to record it, so I went ahead and just hit it. I have no idea if I'm actually going to release this. Depends on if I have shame. Do I have shame? Let's see if I have shame. I don't know. I've been going through something lately, and I've found that whenever I am going through something, or whenever I'm having some kind of emotional, mental stuff, whatever you want to call it, whenever I share it, whenever I'm transparent about that, there always seems to be somebody else out there, if not many other people out there, that are going through something similar or have experienced something similar. It kind of resonates in some way. So, as weird as I feel like this is to talk about, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I guess a good place to start here, I'll talk about the catalyst that kind of started me it got me to this place anyway. Fine. So I went on Twitter, when was this, a few days ago? And I posted that I have this new musical obsession. It's a band called the Beths. They're from New Zealand. The lead singer is Liz Stokes, I believe her name is. But anyway, my wife introduced me to it the other day. She just kind of discovered them herself, and we started listening to them. And I was just like, holy crap, this is so good. And look, it might not be anybody else's cup of tea, or like if you're listening to this and you go check them out, you might be like, Joe, seriously? But it's my cup of tea. I've talked before about how much I love music. I did a video about how music kind of hacks the brain, and how I find it fascinating that, we all kind of understand the pentatonic scale on a fundamental level, and is like, maybe is this hardwired into us? How do we all know this? John Denver. I remember somebody saying something about John Denver one time, that like the first time you hear a John Denver song, it sounds familiar. It sounds comfortable. It sounds like something that you know. And I don't know why it is that certain progressions of chords, certain combinations of chords and melody and harmony just activate emotions in you. It's a fascinating thing to me. And so many times I've felt angry at myself that I didn't stick with music, because I know how pretentious this sounds, but I think at my core, I am a bit of an artist. I really want to activate emotions in people. In my personal life, I've done that, or I've tried to go down that path through storytelling and screenwriting, filmmaking and stuff. And I think that there's something really powerful about the visual medium. But there's something equally as powerful, if not more powerful, about the musical medium. But all that is to say that I stumbled across this band, and I've been listening to them kind of nonstop. I tend to do that. I find a band and I just obsessively listen to them until I can't stand them anymore. So we're working on me getting to the place where I can't stand this band. But it activated some emotions in me. I feel like this whole year, the only emotions that I've been really easily able to access are emotions around loss and anger and grief and doom. And this music is very joyous. It's very celebratory, and the lyrics are very personal and heartfelt, and it's stirred up stuff in me that I haven't been accessing for a long time. And it's got me like in this really weird emotional place. To the point that, you know how when you're really fragile, I'll just use the word fragile, fine. And like that's the smallest thing brings tears to your eyes, and you have no idea why. And you're like, why is this upsetting me? That's kind of where I am right now. I've been here for a few days now, and it's not a bad thing. I think from the outside, it probably looks like I'm having a mental breakdown, and maybe it fits the definition. I don't know, but I don't see it as a bad thing. It's kind of beautiful to me. There's a bit of sadness in it, but there's also a lot of joy and a lot of happiness that I just haven't, like I say, I haven't accessed it in so long that it feels overwhelming to feel it now. And I feel like that's just the year that we're all having, And it's funny because, I talk about science. I talk about very, cut to the chase kind of stuff on my channel. I don't really talk about emotions very much, and I don't get all artsy necessarily, but I have that. I have a lot of that, and maybe that's why I'm feeling what I'm feeling right now. I haven't been listening to that side of me, and it's been kind of laying dormant. So when I was working at my old job, we did this thing, and look, this sounds super cheesy, and I thought it was cheesy at first, but it was also interesting. But we did this thing called I'm laughing just thinking about it. It was called True Colors, and it was like a personality test kind of thing. It wasn't like Myers-Briggs. It didn't get that detailed, there weren't like 16 different versions of it. It was basically there were 4 different colors, if I remember correctly, and I might get some of this wrong. There was green, blue, well, they called it gold. It was actually orange, but gold, and what was the other one? Purple? Maybe it was purple? I'm blanking. Anyway, so the green was very logical and analytical, a personality type. The blues were very emotional and artistic, I guess. You could call that left brain, right brain if you want, but that was how those kind of laid out. And then the golds were very, very organized and compartmentalized, I suppose, but like really organized, type A types, I suppose. And then the purple, I'm saying purple, it might not have been purple, but they were the more loosely chaotic kind of people. And the thing is, like, you would take this big long test and you would see which colors you were, and you basically were given a color palette, and nobody was any one color. In fact, no, actually I take that back. There was one guy, and I think he may have been a little on the spectrum or something, but he was very analytical, and he was like green 100%. So he was 100% like, but it was funny because that was his personality. That was just who he was. But most people are a palette of sorts. You have a little bit of blue, you have a little bit of gold, you have a little bit of green. Anyway, I was literally like 50% blue and 50% green, meaning I was 50% artsy, emotional type, and I was 50% analytical and logical. Now, what they said, and of course I remember this because it's very flattering to me, but they said that like the more you split those two things, and also on the other side of that, there's the chaotic and organized type. They're like, the more you can split those two, those are the opposites, then the more sort of balanced you are as a person. So of course I liked hearing that because like I said, it sounded very good to me. But the point of this at my job was that you understood the color palette that other people had, that the way that they operate, the way they work. If you know that somebody is very organized, then you can kind of work easier with them by adjusting to the way that they work. That was why we did that. And it was actually, like I said, it sounded really cheesy, and I walked in rolling my eyes, but I walked out like, this is actually kind of interesting. It was a helpful little way of looking at how we all think and stuff. But looking back, I find that that's very indicative of how I operate. And, I definitely do have that very artsy, emotional side of me, and a very logical, scientific, analytical side of me. And doing this channel, obviously I lean way more toward that green than I do toward the blue. And I think as much as I love doing what I do, and as much as I am thankful for things being where they are in my career right now, there's like this whole side of me over here that I feel like I haven't really cultivated, and I think, especially with this year being what it has been, and me sort of shutting down a lot of those emotional sides of me, that being hit in the face with this music has caused me to look more toward this and realize I need to, it's almost like a self-care thing. I need to be paying more attention to that. I don't want to make this sound like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just, you got to get shaken up every once in a while. And that's how I'm feeling right now. It's a good thing. It just doesn't look like a good thing from the outside when you're on the verge of tears a lot. So yeah, I'm a big old softie. I don't think that's a secret to anybody who's been paying attention, but, it's very interesting to me, going back to my analytical side, if I may. I've always been curious about how this pandemic and this situation we're in as a society right now, how it's going to shape and affect entertainment and art and whatnot. I'm always curious about that. What kind of response it's going to be. And what I'm starting to wonder is if, I kind of assumed things would get really dark, that it would reflect in art and culture in a really dark way. I'm actually starting to wonder if it's going to go the opposite direction, because I know I ran across this music and listen, if you go check it out and listen to it, you'll see what I mean. It feels celebratory to me. And maybe that's why I can't stop listening to it, because it's just, I need that, Maybe that's why I went so nuts about the Bill and Ted thing. I just needed that. And of course, the message in that movie was about everybody coming together, and that's what winds up saving the world. And that's just the message that I needed to hear. And I just kind of wonder if culture and art and entertainment is going to go more in that direction. It's going to go more in a joyous direction, just because as human beings, God, we need that, I just find that interesting. I didn't really see it going that way, but I know that I personally have been emotionally reacting to that kind of content a lot more so than anything else. So with all that in mind, anybody who follows me on Twitter, may have seen this, but it's funny, you might be piecing the threads together now, if you pay attention, because I did post about this band, and then literally a couple days later I posted this. But I've been thinking about doing on Halloween night a script reading, a live script reading of an old script of mine that is imperfect, to say the least. It's not the best script I've ever written. I've been kind of revisiting it lately, and my God, if I was actually going to try to get it made into a film, I would do so much with it, so much more. But it's kind of a ghost story. And I thought maybe that would be a Halloween-y kind of thing to do, especially this year when probably a lot of people aren't going to be out partying like they normally would. And it's on a Saturday, so maybe on a Saturday night, Halloween, I could get some friends together, some actors and screenwriters, filmmaker friends, and do a live script reading. And it would probably be a lot of it just me making fun of the script, because it needs work. I'm not gonna pretend otherwise. It definitely needs work. But ever since I started thinking about doing that, it's just really, it's gotten me excited a little bit. It's excited me about, I'm nervous about putting that side of me out there, but clearly, like I just said a minute ago, that's a side of me that I haven't been expressing, and I really want to go back to that. So that's something I'm thinking about doing. It's not official. I'm still kind of asking around to see if I can get some people together to do it. I did put that poll on Twitter, and it was like 75% said go for it, which is pretty good odds, I suppose. But I think there's something about narrative storytelling, as opposed to kind of what I do here, just kind of talking into a camera, that can access emotions and truths that this just doesn't quite do. That, there's something about narrative storytelling that allows you to do that much easier. It's almost like it's a hack. It's an emotional hack, sort of. I'm just saying I might lean more into that in the coming year. Actually, there's a weird synchronicity going on here. I'm not going to spoil a little bit the next Monday's video. It's about an alternative theory about the origin of the universe, an alternative theory to the Big Bang. And it basically involves string theory and brains. They call it 3D brains or three brains, and the idea that there's these like sort of, whatever you want to call them, vibrating blobs of string that are in a period of stasis. They're stable, energetically stable. But when they collide, it sort of introduces some chaos into the system. And that chaos produces, energy, and it winds up creating the fundamental forces and energies that wind up creating the mass in the universe that we all see around us today. It's much more in depth than that. You'll hear about it on Monday. But I'm finding some parallels between that and kind of, this whole thing that I'm going through right now, where it's like this whole year I've been in this like period of stasis. I've been in this flat plane, and then I get bombarded with this music that introduces chaos into the system, and it shakes things up, and stuff comes flying out. Stuff being emotions, and it's beautiful and meaningful, and I hope transformative. But it's kind of, that might be a weird way to parallel what I'm going through with, alternative theories of the origin of the universe. This is how I think. But anyway, yeah, look, I'm only human, and like I said, I do a lot of comedy. I do a lot of surface level information stuff, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's very much my green side. But clearly, I will always feel a little bit unfulfilled unless I can access that blue side, unless I can go deeper into emotions and stuff. And I guess what I'm getting out of all this is that I need to find ways to access that and incorporate it into what I'm doing on the channel. Or it might be totally opposite and outside of the channel, something that has nothing to do with the YouTube channel. But I mean, the good thing is with the channel growing, it offers up more opportunities to do things like that. And it's just up to me to, I guess, to keep that in mind as things move forward and make sure that I'm fulfilling both sides of this personality palette that I seem to have. So yeah, I'm gonna stop now because I'm just rambling, and I can't imagine anybody listening to this entire video at this point. But if you did, and it resonates with you in any way, if you understand where I'm coming from, please share your own experiences down below. Don't make me feel alone. But yeah, and check out the Beths if you haven't already. If you've never heard of them, they seem to still have a pretty small following, especially on YouTube. That kind of blew me away. But I find it to be just amazing work. But everybody's musical style is different, so you might disagree. All right, so I got a script to write. Got to get back to it. But I'm just sharing with you guys my life, and there you go. Hope it means something to you. Shutting up now. I hope you guys are all doing okay. I say I love you guys at the end of every video, and I do mean it. I hope you're doing well. And yeah. Yeah. Yes. Okay. I'll catch y'all next time.